Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, in doing the sport shows that I've been doing around the Northeast, one of the questions that people ask me all the time is about eating fish. What's the limit there? And I'm showing them waters in our area. Or can you eat that species? Because a lot of times people in other areas don't have the same species of fish, especially muskies. And that's a question I hear all the time. Are muskies good to eat? Well, muskies, honestly, when I was younger, much younger, we kept everything. And when I caught muskies, we ate them. Now, that seems almost foolish today for a number of reasons. Number one, muskies, I think, need more protection than any other species we have in our waters here. I think that we could destroy any of these fisheries by overfishing, and I think that it should be catch and release always for muskies. But there's other things to consider, and that's what I wanted to talk about today, about eating fish. Number one, the species is critical. You got to know which species are safer to eat than others, and the safety will be a number of components can make the difference of whether they're safe to eat. But fish as big as muskies, especially fish that are predators, that eat other fish, they hold all the impurities, the pollutions, the mercury, the lead, and all the other things that they're absorbed. They hold them in their body for life. They're stored in their fat cells. So the bigger the fish gets, and especially with muskies, you shouldn't be eating them. But here's some of the other factors I think you should consider if you do decide to eat fish. And I don't care what species it is. Some are a little bit safer. They don't have as much pollutants as others. But still, these are basic criteria I think you should consider. Number one, the size of the fish. Basically, no matter what species, the bigger it gets, the more pollutants it has. And also, they don't taste as good the bigger they get because they're storing up other things in their body that makes their flesh taste not as good as a little one. Second thing is the species, and we talked about that. Some species are worse than others. Any of the pike family, and I think northern pike are fabulous tasting. I know a lot of you out there don't believe that or wouldn't even consider it because they're bony, but they're really tasty. Walleyes are really tasty, but these fish are not nearly as safe as, let's say, panfish or trout, and we've talked about this before. But consider the species, consider the size, consider the type of water they're found in, because they're going to take on a lot of the characteristics of that water, including the very nature of the other things that are in the water. To be more specific, let's say you're catching fish in a colder, moving, clear brook. Those fish probably are going to taste better than if you're catching, let's say, bass, and you want to eat them, and you're catching largemouth bass in weedy conditions. I'll guarantee you that flesh is going to taste weedy. Basically, any of the off sort of characteristics that whatever drains into that water is going to have certain odors. And so the fish are going to reflect the environment that they live in, and their taste is going to do that. The temperature of the water is so critical. I don't care, again, what species. If you're catching fish in the summer, when the temperature is higher, their flesh is going to be less firm. It's going to be less desirable. If you catch fish through the ice, or once the water gets cold in the fall, or still is cold in the spring, their flesh is going to be much firmer. They're going to taste an awful lot better. So yes, I love to eat fish, and I know a lot of you like to eat fish, but be aware of the different factors that can make that fish safer for you to eat, or less dangerous, if you want to put it that way, and also have its peak flavor. And we've talked before, and I've told you about this many times, but here's a couple other factors. I remember one of the directors of one of the regions here of our DEC. In other words, he was the manager. He was in charge of that, and he helped me, took me a lot of places fishing that I couldn't have gone. But he always said, when you clean your fish, don't rinse it out in water. Just wipe it down with paper toweling, and that's the way you should eat that flesh. And then other people feel, well, you want to get everything off the flesh, so you rinse it in cold water and then you soak it, and that's what I do. But There's different things to take into consideration that can affect the flavor of the fish. And finally, and this may be the ultimate one, I can tell you, it's critical that once that fish dies, once you catch that fish and kill it or it dies, it's important that you clean it and put it on ice immediately. That's what the commercial fishermen do in the ocean. I mean, that's so critical to keep that flesh from breaking down and starting to deteriorate. So these are a lot of things that you can do to make a difference, whether you can enjoy and love eating fish that you catch, or maybe you should just throw them all back. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.